What if the place meant to care for you quietly becomes the one thing you fear most? For millions of aging parents, nursing home isn't just a word, it's a shadow. A silent fear they carry behind smiles and reassurances. Not because they expect horror stories, but because deep down they wonder. Will I be forgotten? Will anyone notice if I disappear into a room with beige walls and quiet goodbyes? In this video, we're exposing what many elderly parents won't say out loud, but feel every day. From the loss of control to the fear of dying alone, we're diving into the hidden truths behind nursing homes that families must understand before it's too late. If you think you know what your parents want, this might surprise you. Let's talk about what they're too afraid to tell you and what you can do about it. The unspoken dread. There's a quiet fear that settles in the hearts of many aging parents, one they rarely voice, even to those closest to them. It's not about aches, wrinkles, or birthdays that come faster each year. It's about what the words nursing home really mean. Not just a building, but a threshold, a symbol. For many, the thought alone can tighten the chest. It represents the end of self-direction, of choosing what to eat, when to sleep, who to let through the door. It's the fear of being placed somewhere because others decided it was time, of having the last pages of your story written for you, not by you. They don't want to make a fuss. They know their kids are doing their best. But deep down, a quiet voice wonders, if I lose my freedom, do I lose myself? That dread stays tucked behind polite smiles and soft reassurances. But it's real, and it deserves to be understood. Fear of being forgotten. One of the most painful fears isn't being placed in a nursing home, it's being left there and slowly forgotten. At first, family visits come often. Calls are regular. There are promises, hugs, grandkids waving from the hallway. But as time stretches, routines change. Life outside keeps moving, and the silences grow louder. For many aging parents, the fear isn't dramatic abandonment. It's the quiet kind. The kind where birthdays are missed, Sunday visits shrink into monthly check-ins, and phone calls turn into unanswered voicemails. They begin to wonder, have I been tucked away, out of sight and mind? Even the warmest facilities can't fix that emptiness. Watching other residents get visits while your door stays closed, that car that never pulls up. It does something to the heart. It creates a doubt, a whisper. Am I still part of their life? Or just a memory now? Most won't say a word. They'll tell you they're fine. They'll smile. They won't make you feel guilty. But that ache, the longing to feel remembered, wanted, loved, never leaves. They don't need daily fanfare. Just a moment, a call, a visit that says, I still see you. I still need you. Because no facility, no nurse, no cheerful routine can fill the space left by someone you love, being mistreated or neglected. They won't always say it out loud, but many aging parents carry a hidden fear, not of getting older, but of being mistreated when no one is watching. They've seen the news stories, understaffed facilities, overworked caregivers, quiet voices in wheelchairs, waiting for help that doesn't come fast enough. Even in the best homes, where most workers are kind and hardworking, the fear remains. Will someone care for me when I can't speak up for myself? They worry about being rushed through a bath, spoken to like a child, or worse, ignored. A bruise brushed off, a need unnoticed, a voice unheard. This isn't paranoia, it's vulnerability. When you're no longer able to advocate for yourself, every small act of care becomes an act of trust, and that trust is fragile. Many elders don't share these fears with their children. They don't want to worry them. They don't want to seem dramatic or ungrateful. So they smile, they downplay. But inside, they wonder if something feels wrong. Will anyone believe me? Even in well-run homes, this fear lingers. Because when you depend on others for everything, the greatest need isn't comfort, it's safety, and the dignity of being treated as human, not just a task to be completed. The fear of dying alone. It's the fear that keeps many aging parents awake at night, not just dying, but dying alone. They may not talk about it, but the thought follows them into quiet moments. What if, when my time comes, no one is there? No hand to hold, no voice to whisper goodbye. Just the hum of fluorescent lights and the soft shuffle of nurses down the hallway. In nursing homes, even with staff nearby, this fear can feel all too real. When family visits grow sparse and neighbors in the next room pass unnoticed, mortality doesn't just feel close, it feels lonely. They don't want their last breath to be a silent one. They want warmth, presence, a face they know. Someone who remembers the life they lived, the stories, the laughter, the moments that made them who they are. But in a world that moves fast, that sacred moment is often missed. Not out of cruelty, but out of schedules, distance, and the belief that there's still time. For aging parents, this isn't about drama or fear-mongering. It's about longing for connection at the most human level, to not leave this world as a patient in a room, but as a person, fully seen, fully loved, until the very end. Losing identity. Long before health fades, many aging parents fear something deeper becoming invisible. Not physically, but personally. As if the person they spent a lifetime building, the parent, the professional, the storyteller, the neighbor, the friend, is quietly erased the moment they enter a nursing home. They worry they'll be seen only as a diagnosis. Another chart, a bed number. Room 204. The one who needs help walking. The richness of who they are, their favorite books, their old routines, their sense of humor gradually fades behind checklists and shift rotations. It happens slowly. Staff changes. Rooms get cleaned. Preferences are forgotten. There's no time to ask about the photo on the bedside table or the music they used to dance to. And so, they stop mentioning it. This loss of identity can feel more painful than the loss of mobility. Because when you are no longer known for who you are, it becomes easier to feel like you no longer matter. What aging parents want isn't endless attention. They want to be remembered as themselves, to be called by name, not by task. To hear someone say, "Tell me again how you met your spouse," or "You always liked your tea just this way, right?" Because behind every resident is a whole life, and no person wants to feel like theirs has been forgotten. Financial ruin and burden. Beyond the emotional fears, there's one that keeps many aging parents silently anxious: the money. Nursing homes are expensive. Even the most basic care can drain a lifetime of savings in just a few years. And while no one likes to talk about it, most elderly parents know exactly how much it costs to grow old, and how fast everything they worked for can disappear. They worry not just for themselves, but for their families. Will their care force their children into debt? Will it eat away at the inheritance they hope to leave behind? Will they become too expensive to care for at home? Even those with pensions, Social Security, or insurance carry the guilt. They hear their children talk about bills, stress, time, and in their hearts, a quiet fear forms. Am I becoming a burden financially, as well as physically? Some begin to cut corners, refuse small comforts, say no to extra care, not out of pride, but because they're trying to protect their loved ones. This fear isn't always visible. It's buried under polite smiles and quiet refusals. But it's real, because growing old shouldn't mean choosing between dignity and dollars. Yet for many, that's exactly what it feels like. Loneliness amidst company. Nursing homes are filled with people, staff, residents, visitors. Yet for many aging parents, loneliness grows louder the moment they arrive. It's a strange kind of loneliness. Not the kind where no one is around, but the kind where everyone is close, yet no one truly knows you. Conversations feel surface level. Names blur together. The roommate changes every few months, and even surrounded by others, you can feel completely alone. They miss the familiarity of real connection, the kind built over years, not shared over meal trays. They miss friends who knew their stories without explanation, family who noticed a change in their voice, loved ones who didn't need to be reminded of their favorite jokes or bedtime routines. Many elders feel too proud to say it. They don't want to seem ungrateful or needy. So they sit quietly, nodding through small talk, hoping someone will go deeper, hoping someone will notice. Because what they truly long for isn't just company, it's companionship. Not just being in a room with others, but being known in that room. And without that, the ache of loneliness doesn't fade. It simply hides behind daily schedules and polite smiles, growing heavier each day. Being a burden. This is perhaps the quietest fear of all, not of pain, not of loss, but of becoming someone else's weight. Many aging parents look into the eyes of their children and silently wonder, am I too much now? Too much time? Too much money? Too many needs? They see the sighs after long drives, the exhaustion after appointments, the juggling of work, kids, and caregiving, and they start pulling away. Not because they want to, but because they love you. They might stop asking for help, say they're fine when they're not, downplay symptoms, refuse to speak up when something feels wrong, all in an effort to be less of a problem. When the conversation turns to nursing homes, what they sometimes hear, even if you never say it, is, "We can't handle you anymore." And that thought cuts deeper than most children will ever know. They don't want to be a project, or a responsibility passed between siblings. They want to feel valued, not managed, needed, not scheduled. Because underneath the quiet compliance is a very real, very painful fear that the people they once carried through life no longer want to carry them, not being heard or respected. As bodies slow and hair turns gray, something else often fades: the feeling of being taken seriously. In many nursing homes, decisions are made for residents instead of with them. What medications they take, when they eat, who assists them. Even small preferences like how they like their eggs or what music they enjoy are sometimes overlooked in favor of efficiency. For aging parents, this loss of voice cuts deep. After a lifetime of raising children, building careers, and making their own choices, being treated as if their opinions no longer matter can feel like erasure. They speak up gently at first. They say, "I'd rather not," or "Could we?" But the message doesn't always land. Over time, they grow quiet, not because they have nothing to say, but because they've learned it might not change anything. This silence is misread as consent, but inside there's frustration, sadness, even grief, because to be heard is to be seen. To be respected is to be remembered for the person you've always been. No one wants to feel like their words are just background noise, especially not in their final years. They want and deserve the basic dignity of having a say in their own life. Even now, especially now. These fears, they're not dramatic, they're not exaggerated. They're real, quiet truths that many aging parents carry alone. Not because they don't trust their families, but because they don't want to cause pain, because they're trying to be strong. But silence doesn't mean peace. If you've watched this far, you already care more than most. And that's where it begins. Not with grand gestures, but with presence. Listening more, asking gently, visiting often, speaking up when they can't. Because the end of life doesn't need to feel like an ending. It can feel like a chapter of dignity, love, and clarity if we're willing to face these fears together. If this video opened your eyes or touched your heart, please consider sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it's a sibling, a caregiver, or maybe it's you. And if you'd like to explore more videos about senior wisdom, care, and emotional healing, you know what to do. Thank you for watching. Let's keep listening to the voices that still matter most.